National Cycle Route 4 runs for 432 miles from Greenwich in East London to Fishguard in Wales. It's fully open, though the London section hasn't been finalised. This video, travelling west, looks at the section between Greenwich and Southwark. The cycle path starts by following the Thames from the Cutty Sark to Deptford Creek. Then it turns inland, though it'll be able to stay beside the river when Convoy's Wharf is developed for 3,500 homes. I doubt if they'll build any houses. The Port of London Authority describes the Thames as the UK's busiest tidal river. It seems pretty quiet to me, and most of the use seems to be for recreation, which suggests the PLA should spend more of its money on environmental public goods. The Thames beaches are a neglected and underused recreational asset. Like the water space, they should be developed as a public good. The Thames path was planned by the Countryside Commission, as it then was, for pedestrian use. But some sections are signposted for cyclist use, and many more of them should be. Because it's shown on the local plan as a route, the developers of what's now called New Capital Quay had to include pedestrian and cycle paths near the river. But they're not near enough to the river, in my opinion. The new bridge over Deptford Creek is a very welcome and useful facility, though one wouldn't really call it cyclist-friendly. Deptford Creek was the site of Henry VIII's shipyard. Peter the Great came here to learn shipbuilding. Now, residential development is making it like a new suburb of St. Petersburg, crowded with dull, architect-designed apartment blocks and no new public goods. One wonders if Lewisham still employs a town planner. The Millennium Quay was developed in the 1990s. It's a large space and there's no access to the river. Most of it is dominated by a road and car parking, and the surface is not very friendly to cyclists. But having it is better than not having it. The Thames path leaves the River Thames here, but will probably follow the river when Convoy's Wharf is developed. Like Deptford Creek, it was part of the Royal Dockyard. This happened through the generosity of John Evelyn, author of Silver, and the most important English garden theorist of the 17th century. Landscape architects have been pushing for a recreation of Evelyn's garden, and I hope it happens. There's a very nice little park behind that fence. Nice name too. It's called Twinkle Park, and David Ireland was the landscape architect. Granite setts are not my first choice for a cycle path, but they look good and contribute more to the urban landscape than tarmac. The old setts were bedded in earth. When relaid, they do it with cement mortar, regrettably. A smooth cycle path would be more useful than those wooden posts. It's only 10 metres long, but this is a cycle lane. I'm not 100% certain the red tarmac was laid for cyclists, but the footpath doesn't need to be as wide as it is, so it might as well be a cycle lane. Ah, here's another 3 metres of cycle path. And here are the parked cars, which so obviously make a cycle path an impossibility. I'm not sure if this is exactly the right route, but I am sure I'm not missing much if it isn't. Ah, there's a cycle path sign outside Sayes Court Park. The land might have been part of John Evelyn's estate. If so, a lot has changed. The cycle path doesn't go through the park. Maybe the planners think we prefer lines of parked cars to lines of trees and shrubs. This is Pepys Park. It was part of a GLC slum clearance project from 1966 to 73. It then went through a bad period, but it's been revived. I think Michael Ellison was the original landscape architect, and some of the money from selling the Aragon Tower was spent on refreshing the park with BDP, the landscape architects. It's a big improvement. This is where NCN4 reaches the Thames. There's a great view across the river to Canary Wharf. Now called Deptford Wharf, this was once a shipyard known as Dudman's Dock. It then became the site of the London, Brighton and South Coast Railway Depot. The building still got a railway character. There's nothing much to indicate this is a cycle path, but it is, and it's a great place for a ride on a sunny day. It may be that I'm supposed to be riding on the road rather than on the concrete block path, but no one could say I'm frightening pedestrians. What the area needs is some pubs, cafes, museums, galleries, boats, better access to the foreshore, and foreshore reclamation work. This is the entrance to Greenland Dock. Built at the end of the 17th century, it's London's oldest wet dock, built by the first Duke of Bedford. The name came from its use as an anchorage for whaling boats. Now it's a marina for leisure boats, in a dormitory area for city workers. NCN4 leaves the river at this point, which is a pity. The housing estates built on the infilled Surrey docks are pleasant enough, but they're not an attraction which compares with riverside scenery, and losing your way is not at all difficult. Nor is it a good place to bring your family for a day out. It's suburbia. The path under Salter Road is convenient and takes us into Rotherhithe Woodland. It's a good green space, but I wish Rotherhithe Dock had not been filled in by the Port of London Authority. Here's a welcome sign confirming that I'm still on National Cycle Route 4. It's only about another 260 miles from here to Fishguard. We're back in suburbia now, but it's only a short trip to the river. I'll speed up. A bridge crosses the Albion Channel. It's on the site of the Albion Dock. Brown Clouston and Partners were the landscape architects and designed the bridge before the cycle route was planned. The channel works very well as an urban greenway. London needs many more spaces like this. I reckon the tubes would be half empty if people had the alternative of cycling on landscape architect designed cycleways. But they'd need to follow desire lines instead of just being nice places. This short stretch through Rotherhithe is one of my favourite parts of this trip, but cycling conditions are not ideal. At last, back at the river. The trip through Surrey docks is good, but its availability is no reason for not planning a full riverside cycle ride on the South Bank in East Central London. I'll look at this and the link to Tower Bridge in another video. If you've cycled this route, an Amazon-style assessment would be welcome on the LAA website. Comments are welcome too. Thank you.